and welcome to the On The Burst podcast. I'm your coach, Brandon Savage, and I'm joined here by my crusty.
Yeah, I'm pretty crusty, bro. I like that.
Oh, I'm sure your sheets are crusty after a long session.
Okay, let's save that for the back end.
I'm joined here by my trusty my trusty assistant.
Don't beat yourself up, mate. It's a bit of a it's a holiday period. You know, we're fully on the burst. Like, we've ran into the room, we've just chucked the cameras up, and
Yeah, no prep has happened here. We've prepped every episode, which is like a first for us. Usually in Supercoach, it's kind of easy to go over what topics. We do a rough guideline and stuff, but with this, we've been pretty organised with it, but we're just rolling into the episode raw. But I am joined by my trusty assistant coach, Timmy Moody. I think I'm on track now.
Yeah, as you said, like, we do like to sort of prep a little bit beforehand. I mean, normally Brandon goes through a series of vocal warm-ups, sort of like a he sort of looks at himself in the mirror, says a lot of positive affirmations, meditates for about 15 minutes, lights some incense, and then we're good to go. But we've just had to...
I'm rattled. My pre-game ritual is just out the window at the moment, and it's honestly like it's rattled me so badly. And I think because we're starting to talk about it, I'm getting less nervous. It's kind of like a couple of minutes into the game where... I
reckon you need to flip it around from duck to goose this week, because you're... that's what you are. You're a bit of a goose.
Bit of a goose. It's on backwards, though, because the tag's at the front here. Biggie. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
It's fine. I'm fine with it.
All right. I'm going to kick off the show here with... We've done no prep, obviously, so you don't know what's coming, but I think we've got to talk about it. We trained the house down the other week, and obviously last week we missed an episode. I'm sorry to all the millions and millions of listeners who were expecting an episode last week and just didn't get one. On Tuesday, I'd stay on.
It really broke the internet when we didn't release an episode. It was sort of went into meltdown.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like, "Where is it?"
Yeah, thousands of DMs, thousands. I couldn't get to them all. Sorry, but We trained the house down last week, Tuesday. We were going to record then, and obviously we were very excited because the whole point of training the house down was being able to play it on the podcast and talk about it. But it kind of seems so far gone at the moment that. But we are wearing our MG Active shirts. Shout out to MG, what a legend!
And Son Logs.
He catered for us,
and the whole family. They get amongst it. Like the whole kiddos are in there training, the community, and gee whiz, those people that train there, fucking hell, they don't look like athletes, but they can go. Like, I didn't last very long, and there were some, like, people you wouldn't think could be able to run 100 metres, and they were sort of just belting through session after session with the stamina of Steve Monagatti.
Steve Monagatti, you've said that name a few times before, and I haven't researched it.
Yeah, he's classic. He's classic marathon runner.
So, if you haven't seen the video, Timmy actually, I was watching the whole thing, and it didn't seem like it took much for you to get to where you got to. Yeah. Like, when you watch it back, you're like, it's not that much, is it? But it was actually, I think it was the heat, the humidity, just the time of day for both of us. Like, in the morning, you'd not really eaten. You had some pre-workout on an empty stomach. I had some pre-workout on a...
bit of a wake and bake as well.
Yeah, there you go. I wasn't going to bring it up. At least you brought it up. MG, first thing he goes to Timmy, well, have you prepped this morning yet? You had a cone, and he's like, only one.
Yeah, so you get that on the big games, but look, I think regardless, it would have smashed me. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm not an athlete. That was proven last weekend, but look, it is the off season, so some as long as I'm ready come season start, which is all the boys are expecting.
That's it. I actually needed that session because I think since then, every time I've gone to the gym, I've kind of trained at high intensity like that because I loved it. I was screwed because I was a bit hungover that day. Although I saved myself a little bit. I was expecting to have a big night, but as usual, I backdoored it at about 9 o'clock or maybe even 8:30. and that probably saved me from.
Funny thing was, he showed me the text messages he sent to his workmates. I hope they're not watching, but if they are, fuck it. Yeah, he's like, oh, I got kicked out, eh? And like, it just seemed like such a, how would he get kicked out? You know what I mean, sort of thing.
It was 8:30 and I was fucked. Like I was sitting there like nearly asleep at the cocktail bar at Panthers. And if they are watching, well, I think they saw straight through me.
Yeah,
that I got kicked out. I think they're like, righto, mate.
Christmas parties aren't what they're always hyped up to be. You get a little bit excited for them, but mine have all recently been sort of a bit of a letdown. I just recently played a round of 9 golfing, and it was frustrating.
Well, that was my TAFE Christmas party. So we'd finished our first year at TAFE. I've known these guys since the start of the year, so we were like, let's go have a drink together. So, and only 4 people showed up. So I think it was pretty. It made
the vibe was already
the vibe was good because the people that came were good. We've got a pretty good class, all of us, but I'm assuming when I left, like that's 1/4. I'm not saying I'm a big personality of the group or anything, but that's still 1/4 of what was already there.
It's a big hit.
It's a big hit, and so when one person leaves. If one other person needed to leave, then that leaves 2. That's a night done. I'm pretty sure it was a pretty tame night for them. But I've actually got my work Christmas party tomorrow, which is axe throwing.
And I did that last year for my work thing. Also a bit of a letdown.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really worried because...
Only because, like...
I'll tell you what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
Last year's Christmas party was very good. We had like a casino-style Christmas party. And I got to the office... where everybody met and everybody was already drinking. Everybody was on like second or third drink. I think with axe throwing, the guidelines for axe throwing are pretty strict with alcohol. So if they think anybody is drunk, or maybe this is just what they're saying on their website. I don't know if they're actually like that.
If you turn up like a fucking pork chop, they're not going to give you an axe to you.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just a bit worried that nobody's going to be pre-drinking tomorrow. And that's the best part of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more of a coffee and bacon and egg roll guy and sort of ease my way into it. But anyways, let's get into the crux of the show.
Well, let's get it. MG Active, obviously, shout out to him. He gave us these shirts for free. Timmy was prepared to buy it. Deep down?
Nah, look, of course I will.
So Timmy, at the end of the session, he was like, I better get a shirt.
Do the right thing, you know?
Do the right thing. He was... intending on paying. They're like, no, here you go. Gave me one as well. So that's why we're repping it, because they really did us a solid.
I reckon if you're serious about getting fit, losing weight, whatever you want to do, you're in the greater Western Sydney area, get out to MG Active and you'll get it done properly. If you want to go just sign up at a gym and try to do it yourself, you can probably
100%
get it done, but it would be a lot like this, sticking it with these group of people and that little family they've got training the house down.
What's good, they've got Logan, looks exactly like Maverick, just non-NRL version.
Minus the moustache.
He's got the moustache, doesn't he?
Oh, not as dominant.
Yeah, so Logan, he's one of the trainers there. I'm pretty sure he's the manager there as well.
Yeah, well, let's call him the CEO.
CEO, because he's like the guy you contact if you need stuff done there. They all join in on the training. Like, it's pretty good. And if you haven't seen the video, go check it out. It was pretty good. Your sister was there recording for us. And I think given that vlog, it'll give us a lot more.
I think the next one might be the beep test, you and I. Mono, head to head.
And you know what's funny? I actually lost my external microphone that day. The one that clips on so you get the full audio. I think that would have been good for that. So we could have got our full reactions, and we should have commentated on the spot as well. I think the fact that we had the microphone that was on there, we couldn't really speak much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think speaking would have done me any favours.
You wouldn't have even been speaking anyway, to be honest. NRL news on the burst. We've been gone for 2 weeks. This was going to be our last week, but I think we're going to have to sneak in one episode before the end of the year.
Sure.
So in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
To get obviously the last episode
obviously
done.
I'm putting in like time and a half, double time or something like that for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sweet. So NRL news, big NRL news today. Adam Fanua-Blake has signed with the Sharks, and my God, what a perfect time to sit down and talk about it because it's raw off the brain. You haven't heard anyone else's opinion. What are your thoughts on it?
Massive inclusion for that side. Huge loss for the Wars. I feel like a lot of what was great about what they were doing was, with his go forward. The thing is, I think that he is going to have a big impact at this club, but I think it's a bigger loss than it is a gain. You know what I mean? I really think this could have Warriors will do all right, but I think without him, I think they would have liked to. Well, he wasn't happy in New Zealand. It seemed like he wanted to get
leaving on compassionate leave. So, I mean, he left on compassionate leave for Manly, but I'm pretty sure something to do with his father or something. He wants to be with his kids around the grandparents or something like that. It's a tricky one because in New Zealand you kind of get it. Like if he's got family over here, like he's an NRL player, he can, you can deal with these things because you get that pay packet, but like he can pretty much do whatever he wants. And look, he's done it. He's got the paycheck. He's gone to a club who can now potentially win a premiership. I think he's made a great move. The Tigers and St. George were interested. I think he's done the perfect thing because Cronulla in a premiership window and someone like him is going to put them even on this, like, this is their window with Fanua-Blake coming into the side.
He really had his best year last year in that sort of, as soon as you picked him up for Supercoach, he just went fucking red hot, and I reckon that's the best we've ever seen him.
100%. The thing that worries me is he's done this after this year, and it just makes me think like he left Manly on compassionate leave to go to the Warriors. He was pretty quiet at the Warriors for the 2 years prior that he was there, and he had this massive year this year. And a part of me thinks, is he potentially going to... Was he thinking in his mind, I've had a good year, I need to use this to get my next contract because if I play out this contract and I'm looking for a contract after, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be good enough to demand the money I'm demanding now.
Fair point.
I'm just worried that happens because we've seen Adam Fanua-Blake in the past. He's such a good player, but he can go through these quiet periods.
I think what we saw of him last year, I think he looked like he was having a good time. So I think he'll keep it up, I don't see why he'd just go, oh, fucking play shit now. There's probably, maybe he was going through some things prior to that, which is why he had that previous compassionate. Maybe that sort of translated onto the field. So he's been playing good footy. Hopefully he keeps playing good footy.
100%. And I think one of the reasons he actually did do a lot better than he had previous years was he stayed on the field. So obviously the first 6 rounds, nobody was looking at him in Supercoach.
More minutes, try scoring went through the roof.
Yeah, like he was just staying on the field, and I think a healthy Fanua-Blake is a good Fanua-Blake, and maybe just injury has rattled him just a bit more than a lot of others would like. So that's massive news for the Sharks. Where do you see them landing in 2025? If, say, this is 2025 next year, if he slotted into that team, how do you see their year going?
I reckon the Sharks are probably this year going to have another decent year, and I reckon by that time that it seems like they'd be solid top 4. Nico, you'd imagine, would only be getting
better.
Yeah. And Fitzgibbon sort of had a couple of years with them then, and I reckon by that time they could be
and like
in the mix for a big GF.
Luai will be gone from Penrith then.
Turn the porch lights on.
Luai will be gone from Penrith then, so Penrith are weaker and all these other sides are getting stronger. Like maybe it will be the Sharks' year in 2025. I really do see it happening. I thought they were legit going to be a threat last year. This year, not so much, just because of how I saw how last year went. But I'm really excited for them. And if they can get Fanua-Blake early, I think that's the earlier the better, because if they get an aging Fanua Blake who can only play 30 minutes, then that's an issue. But nonetheless, still a good signing. Luai nearly confirmed to the Tigers. It looked like it was confirmed, but we talked about it a lot, and I don't want to touch on it any more than we already have. But are you surprised?
No, not surprised. The longer it dragged on, I felt like, maybe he'll just stay. But I think that was just a part of me just hoping. I think, I'm happy for him to go to, better his opportunities and everything. Like I've said, I'm fully support him. Just a little bit of me just seeing more and more of the original, boys from the area start to fall off and go into different clubs. It hurts, but as I said before, it's the price of success, and there'll be other young kids come through and will enjoy playing, those ex-Panthers like Luai and Critter and Kickow and that when we come across them.
It makes me really sad they're all gone as well. It's the salary cap just forces it though. Like if you're gonna win a comp every year, every player that comes in is now a premiership player. So,
but I feel trust that Penrith know what they're doing. They're getting good money out of these guys, and then growing the next juniors up, and the NRL's just getting better because Penrith's letting some of their players play elsewhere.
For sure. Luai gone. That leaves a hole at 6. What do you see happening at the moment? Like, what's your first thoughts on that?
I don't know what the will be, who will fill in there, or whether it be a Dane Laurie or the next kid up. But I just looking at, as I've said before, about 2-3 years down the track, where potentially Jet Cleary can form that triangle and make the perfect fucking thing. I just think that'll be so good. I just follow him on Instagram stuff now, and oh man, I've just got this weird feeling that he could be
better.
Yeah, like just because he's got his brother guiding him the whole way of his career too. So I mean, it's a lot of pressure to put on the young fella. For sure. But we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to our moment series. We've got 4 teams today. We've got 4 teams next episode. Today, we've got the Raiders, Newcastle, Roosters, and the Sharks. We'll start with the Raiders. What do you think their best moment of the year is? Best moment, Jared Croker racking up his 300 games, making sure that he got enough games in. The fact that it also benefited the side, it wasn't a hindrance to have him get his 300. He wasn't consolation games. And he wasn't holding anyone back from that spot. He was the best guy for that spot. And he was actually, when he returned, it coincided with the Raiders winning. It may not necessarily have been because of his impact or involvement. It might have just been the morale that was there, the fact that just the side were just playing better. Nothing to do with that, but that was a great moment for the Raiders. I think that moment was probably up there as well, but my personal favourite moment for them was against the Dolphins. I think they had a pretty handy lead, and then the Dolphins came back, and I just remember the chat throughout that game was nobody in Canberra's side has kicked a field goal before, so who's going to kick the field goal? Jamal Fogarty stepped up, kicked the field goal, and they won that game against, I think it was like 35-34. So that must be the second time they played him, because now we're moving on to their worst moment, which will coincide with mine. I've got losing to the Finns in round 2. Yeah, no, it was definitely the second time. It wasn't round 2. So I've got already coming off a loss themselves in round 1 to the Cowboys. They should be really up for this next game. Also, they got to see that the Finns are not a walkover. Yeah. And, going into the season 0 and 2, pretty deflating for them to start off. And it's weird because, like, a team like Canberra, you don't expect them to slack off against a team like the Dolphins. Like, that Canberra want to fight for every win. And you thought... Well, they never lose by more than 7 or win by more than 7, I think was the thing for the year. Well, it's funny because all our best moments are always the big wins when everything clicks. We couldn't pick that with the Raiders because there's legit nothing to choose from them. I think their worst moment, they had a pretty bad start. So they lost to
the Dolphins in round 2. They beat the Sharks in round 3, which was nice. So they got off the board there. Newcastle beat them in round 4, but then Penrith beat them 53-12 in round 5. So they're 1-5 there, coming off a 53-12 loss. Bad start. But the fact that they crawled back and made the 8, I think that's probably the most...
Leading into the most defining, which I'll say is making the 8.
Yeah.
It was, a competitive season. I've got many sides who expected to make it and didn't. The loss in the 2 games leading into the final... They lost the 2 games leading into the finals and went out in the first week of the finals. So it was a bit of a shitty back end of the... as well as a start. But some good wins along the way to have actually got into the 8.
I was really kind of not upset, but when they were the team that were locked into the 8 and teams like Parramatta, the Rabbitohs and the Cowboys missed out, I was really salty at them just because I didn't think they deserved to be there, but the fact that they were there means 100% they deserve to be there. I know what you mean.
You kind of want to see those bigger names that have actually got a chance of probably winning the grand final on their day, but if they're able to get more wins throughout the year, it's respect to, especially after being 1-5 and then losing the last couple of games to try and get into the finals as well, but still scraping in.
I guess there's in my eyes, most defining was probably giving Jared Croker a go because that allowed them to go on that 4 to 5 game win streak, and then it kind of told them, okay, the young talent that we have isn't always the best option. Like sometimes we do have to go with the older heads, but I know with the Raiders at the moment, my vibe is they've got to give the young talent a go now. But maybe just last year, I honestly don't know because their roster is shit at the moment. Like they didn't sign anyone. They signed KO Weeks for 2024.
Yeah, so it doesn't look scary in attack. Doesn't look lethal in any way.
All right,
the Roosters.
The Roosters. Start off with the worst. Just their start once again. Like there was never a game where I looked at them and thought, oh, they're shit house. But round 11 versus Penrith, 48-4. Penrith just put a number on anyone, but they also lost to the Dragons the week after, 24-22. So I think the start compounded on with them 2 losses. They've got to be better in 2024.
Yeah, so mine's just pretty standout, obvious. I think losing to the Finns in round 1, it was, they massively underestimated the Finns, I think. The Roosters were expected to win the comp, and the team that they were playing were not even expected to get a couple of wins. And, $6 favourites. The Roosters have continually started off slow. It'll be interesting to see who have they got round 1 this year. They're over in...
they got Brisbane in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it might be tough.
It will be tough. What's their best?
My best moment for the Roosters is beating the Bunnies in round 27, making the finals and sending the Bunnies packing. At least they won that massive grudge match. That's all I've got.
That's all you got?
Yeah. I think that was it's like a grand final in itself, a mini grand final.
That was their best moment. They ended up winning that first semi-final and going through, actually. So the fact that they got there, I think that's a massive credit to them. But, 100%. I think that's their best moment. No, I agree with you. That's their best moment because they needed to do or die with that one. But most defining, I think the win against the Titans really, like late in the season, they really needed to get a roll on. And their win against the Titans where they won, let me have a look, 36-18. We were there at Panthers watching it when it happened. We had James Tedesco in our Supercoach teams.
Yeah, had a good game.
He put a clinic on, but that pretty much gave them a roll on to lose the next week against the Broncos. But it pretty much, it was do or die at that point of the season, and you could tell the gear had shifted.
My most defining is dropping Sammy Walker.
Yeah.
Mid-season. I think that whatever that was, it didn't work. You
Yep.
know what I mean? He did get obviously injured on trying to make a return as well, which was slowed. But like it's not like Manu fixed that problem. I don't think they were. And then they chucked Hutchison in for a bit, which he was playing all right. And then he was in good form, and then they pulled him out of the spot once he sort of was, finding his feet and doing actually really well. So, yeah, whatever that was just looked like a kerfuffle. I just don't think it was a good look. I don't think Sammy was that rightfully the one in the wrong for their form. He sort of was the scapegoat, so I think that was pretty defining.
I remember saying we were at Pickle Studios when he first got dropped, and I heard some whispers that he wouldn't play first grade for the Roosters again. And I think I was convinced at that point because he was fit and ready to go, but it was like weeks on and he just hadn't been picked. So the fact that he got injured during that period, just a bad move by
Maybe
the Roosters.
It might be the best thing that ever happens to him. Maybe it does something in him that, is what they were looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know going forward. But
I think that he was at the point he was dropped. They probably conceded that they can't win a premiership that year. Like they hadn't kind of nailed the process. So maybe it's most defining that will help them gain the confidence and set the blueprint for this year. For the year coming in 2024. The Sharks. Sharks is a very interesting one. I'm going to have to go. The Sharks' best moment is the 40-8 win in round 8 when Nico Hines returned. And pretty much first 3 rounds, they went loss, win, loss. So they'll 1-3. Not a great start for them. They would have hoped to at least seal another one of them because they lost to Para by 4 points. No, they won, but they lost to the Rabbitohs. So they lost to the Raiders by 4 points, sorry. So the fact that they lost to the Raiders, Nico Hines coming back, I think it just proved that Nico Hines is a match winner and having him on the field, they're always a chance.
Yeah, I didn't supply an answer in my notes here for the...
oh, didn't you?
No, I think that I just sort of skipped over it and was going to come back to it and forgot to.
Never came back to it.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
But yeah, I've got notes for the other topics within the Sharks.
No, that's all right. I think their worst moment is probably once again not nailing a finals match. That, and I know I'm always saying their loss to Penrith, but that loss to Penrith that day where McInnes made 90 tackles, I think that was pretty bad. Like Penrith was so dominant that day and Sharks just, they didn't stand a chance. Give them the credit though. In the second half, it was so far gone that nobody had realised, but they shored up their defence.
I think some of those games, though, once they just get away and you're just not on your game, they are what they are. But as you said, they did sort of make some improvement there. I've got the worst for the Sharks being the loss to the Wars.
Oh, they had 2 losses to the Wars where...
Yeah, so I've got round 5, they lost 32-30.
That was the comeback one.
But they were up 26-6.
Yep.
In the first half. And then round 20, they lost 44-12. So I've just got their performances against the Wars.
They're games that they could have banked as well. They could have easily made the top 4 had they just banked them wins.
Yeah, maybe the first game, the 44-12 loss, it seemed like they were well and truly beat in that game. But the other game, they had that one well and truly wrapped
for sure.
up.
Their most defining for mine was Teague Wilton getting injured. So we always, especially in Supercoach, it was that edge that was getting picked apart by teams like Dallin Watini-Zelezniak was scoring for fun against them. When Teague Wilton got injured, Wade Graham came into that starting side and that edge defence got shored up massively. And they turned into not a side that leaks terribly on their edges. So I think that was their most defining for sure.
My most defining, I didn't have a note for this, but I picked this up on the run, which is pretty eyes up for me.
Eyes up.
And I've got some pretty poor memory skills, but I really like what I've got here. I'm going to say the lack of selection for the Blues for Nico. I think it really massive hit to his confidence.
That's eyes up.
Massive hit to his confidence. I just think that also translated into his form in club after not being picked. Like, what else can I do? What do I do? What do I need to do?
He was pretty rattled, and I think we watched a few games where he played not long after that, and he was just the things he was doing, especially in defence, was real strange.
Shoot uppy and not really, and he just. I think he just looked. The word you said, rattled, was bang on.
Yeah, he looked really rattled, and
he's usually a pretty chill, cool, calm guy on the field. He appears that way. I'm not going to say I know he's dealt with mental health issues, so he might not be completely chill, calm, collected all the time, but on the field he normally looks chill, and he didn't for that sort of block of maybe four or so games at least.
I blame Freddie.
Oh, don't blame Freddie.
He looked really rattled, and he wasn't the same player for sure. But I think in that finals game especially, he stepped up, in my opinion. Like, he missed the field goals and Sam Walker charged them down, which was not good. But I think he stepped up. 2 try assists. He had his hand in everything. Something that will be interesting, the partnership with Brad and Trindle next year, I don't think that's a perfect...
Well, speaking to... friend of the podcast, bloody get drawn a massive blank here. Me mate from Magic Round, Liam Howie. Yeah, he's a pretty big fan of it. He likes it. I mean, he likes it better than the Moiser.
You reckon?
Combo. He likes it better. I
don't think so.
I've got a bit of respect for Moiser, but I think that's just back from his soft spot from Penrith days as well, but still a good footy player. But Trindle's a handy little guy. I think given the opportunity and knowing it's his position, maybe.
I don't know. I just saw Trindle try and be that last pass a lot more than Moylan tried to be. Like, Moylan was happy to be that pass to Kennedy so Kennedy can pass to Mulatalo. I haven't seen that of Trindle just yet. Like, I haven't seen...
Maybe they'll get the balance right.
Maybe. You got to give him... He's definitely a talent, and if he gets it right, like, he can pick his moments. But, I'm a bit worried about that. But hopefully Fanil Blake coming to the side doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nico can just dominate. Everyone can dominate. Newcastle Knights. I think this side is... Their ups and downs. Like, surprisingly, not many downs this year. I don't think... What do you think their worst moment was?
Worst? Winning 10 games in a row. How is this their worst? Okay, that's interesting.
No, I get why you've said that, though.
Okay, it says winning 10 games in a row, 11 if you count the bye round from round out 18 onwards.
Is that meant to be the best?
It should be, yeah.
Maybe it is the worst because by the time they got to the semi-final...
I don't know why I've got that in the worst, but that's what I've got there. That's pretty good stuff, though.
Let's try and think the angle you were coming from at the time. You might have been up in space or something, but winning 10 games in a row, you're not used to the feeling of losing. And coming into a finals game, just expecting it to happen is not how finals work. And I think that's why they were rattled at the start of the game versus the Raiders. Raiders looked like they were going to go away with it, but they came back, the Knights, and just stuck to their systems. Yeah. And I think losing 10 games in a row probably put them in that position of not needing to fight for it.
Winning 10 games in a row?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's definitely not their worst moment. That's a good moment.
I reckon that's a good moment. I wouldn't put that as the worst, but I honestly don't know. At the start of the season... I think
what's happened here, I think I've opened my notes with a pocket dial and sort of edited my sort of note because the first part's not making much sense. So
really?
I'm assuming that's what's happened here. So, yeah.
So, for mine... I've probably got to go. So it was definitely early in the season. I remember talk of Adam O'Brien potentially getting sacked, but they lost to the Dolphins early on as well in round 3. So Dolphins went 3-0. They're on top of the table. They won 36-20. After that, Newcastle beat Canberra. They had a draw with Manly. They beat the Warriors, who at that point, like, they were doing well. And then they lost by 1 point to the Penrith Panthers. And I think at that point, everyone was still thinking, Newcastle are a bit shit team. But I think at that point, maybe some people saw it, like saw what they were building there. I've got to be honest, I didn't
I'm
see
shocked.
it.
Oh, just looking at it, that they finished fifth. When we were looking at it, I was just before the poll, I can't believe they finished fifth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that 10 wins in a row was obviously a big factor in that.
Do you reckon that was their best?
Yeah, that was definitely their best. I guess you could also say their best moment would also be
The Doggies game.
Ponga's just form
Yeah.
at the back end. As soon as he went back to fullback, it was out of control. I mean, most defining, you could say, would be switching
Yeah. That.
Lockie Miller out of the side and having the balls to do that, because
Yeah.
I didn't think that was. I thought they had to
Stick with it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought just get the best out of Ponga from six still. Still just utilise them both. So I still thought Lockie Miller had a bit to offer. I know he was very green, but yeah, I still thought he had more. But that was a move that really paid off for them. Yeah, but we could have those issues.
Oh, at DM, yeah, for sure. But like the less chance of it happening. All right, that's going to be a nightmare to fix up. But we're back. This is why we like doing it at the studio. Were we talking about that on the camera, on the mic before? I think we were. But yeah, that's Newcastle. So I got some blind rankings for you.
Okay, cool. Because I was wondering about, we're going to do that.
Yeah, well, what are we going to do next? So I've got blind rankings for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Guzmani Gomez.
4,
Mad Mex.
5.
McDonald's.
Fuck. 3.
Red Rooster.
I'm saving number 1 for, is it for KFC?
Red
The
Rooster.
good sponsors. Yeah, 2.
2.
And KFC number 1, the good sponsors
Porto.
of Supercoach. Oh, okay. Yeah, Porto's mad.
Porto is one of the better ones, I reckon.
Porto's, like, I'd rather have Frangos, but
yeah.
if I want to save
Porto's
myself
like a cheap version,
like a $5 and, not have to get out of my pajamas and just go through the drive-through, go to a Porto for sure.
What would be your true order for that one?
My true order for that one would be, can you say them again? I think there was 2 Mexican ones.
Mad Mex, Guzmani Gomez, Red Rooster, Macca's, and Porto.
Yeah, look, I'd probably stick Red Rooster at 4, Macca's at 5. Macca's covers a lot, but it's pretty shit house, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's pretty rich coming from a guy who rocked up with Macca's today.
fuck you, Macca's. Yeah, no, look, I was on the way. It's convenient. Macca's know what they're about, they're everywhere.
Do you reckon, like, Macca's would have way more competitors if everything else was open 24 hours? Because, like...
Yeah, but I don't think everything else could afford to stay open 24 hours.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, do you think if it's 12 o'clock during the day...
Sometimes people just want what Macca's offer. They just want a shit burger.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going for. Like, I'll happily go for a cheeseburger just to do the job, just to get something, tie me over for a bit.
I actually did the other day. I was very... I was hungry and I just felt like a double quarter pounder. And I pounded that double quarter pounder into the core of the earth.
I feel like Macca's is really good if you don't have it for a real long time. Then you treat yourself to it and you're like, wow, this is great.
For sure.
And then, but if you have it regularly, it's no good at all.
I've got another set of blind rankings for you as well.
Yeah, footy ones?
Yeah, some footy ones. I thought I'd throw a curveball in there for you. So, Penrith Legends.
Okay.
Reece Wesser.
Ooh, Reece. He's on the back of the phone. I'm going to chuck him at 5.
Oh!
Yeah, I love the bloke, but going to chuck him at 5.
Mark Geyer.
MG. Fuck. This is tough, bro. This is really hard, man.
Is it because of the personal level?
Yeah, I really love MG.
But you don't want to put him too high.
I'm going to put him at 3. And I think I might discuss that afterwards.
Craig Gower.
Yeah, 4.
Ryan Girdler.
Okay, I'm surprised you're using all of these ones, but so that'd put him at 2.
Nathan Cleary.
Number 1.
Easily? You
not out of the ones you've listed, fucking oath. But I was expecting you to have maybe Royce Simmons, maybe to have Brandy in there. I was expecting those two, so I was sort of trying to make space for that. I would have bumped MG up otherwise. I just wanted to have...
What do you think of MG 2? Cleary, so where does he rank of all-time Penrith legends for you?
Well, he's still current, but he's going to be number 1. You know what I mean?
Easily?
Yeah, for me, I mean, there's also Freddie Fittler to consider, which is another one I thought you were going to chuck in there. A lot of the times whenever someone leaves a club and they play and have success elsewhere...
Taints there.
Yeah, you think of them as not... Yeah, but for me, he's a Cambridge Park boy. He's a Penrith boy, so...
But I think we'll look back on this and know...
But I'd go, like, now, I would probably go... even though Brandy maybe doesn't have the accolades of Freddie, I would still go for Penrith greats, Brandy. Then I'd probably go Freddie, Royce and MG. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think we'll look back on this time.
Couple them together. They had a magic
Shut
moment.
the fuck up.
Oh, sorry.
Let me talk.
Yeah.
I think we'll look back on this time and 3 premierships in a row, 2 Clive Churchills. There's no doubt he's going to be the best of all time.
Yeah.
And with Freddie, what's he done? Did he take the club to 1 premiership?
Yeah.
But did he win the Clive Churchill?
Was he, I don't think he was at the... Yeah, he wasn't in 2003 one. No way he was.
No, he wasn't.
91,
He was playing for the Roosters.
Yeah.
Was he Clive Churchill?
I can't remember. I was 6, to be honest. But
yeah. Well, fair enough. I guess, like, in a team like Penrith who are now expected to win, what's a more, like... Where would you hold someone as a higher regard? The team that wins all the time, so someone like a Cooper Cronk who led this team to premierships, or a Cleary who's done the same thing, or like say a team comes out this year and say Kalen Ponga led Newcastle to a grand final and won this year. Do you think that's more valuable in the club's history than like a system taking... If you know what I'm trying to say?
Like an individual player that gains that.
Yeah, like a Jared Hayne type year, a Tom Trebojevic type year. Do you think winning a grand final in a year like that is much more exclusive in a club's history point of view rather than...
I think it's more exclusive to that individual. If there's like a star that seems like that they're the one that was...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it's a bit hard to measure that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. All right. Cheers for tuning in. A bit all over the place today, but
get that on the big games.
It is what it is. I think we're closing down on a big year and big year to come next year. Hopefully we can fit all this in. I'm really worried about that.
Clive Churchill, I think, was Royce Simmons in 91.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
You stumped me on, like I'm not...
That being said, I know I said, did Freddie take him to a premiership win and get the Clive Churchill? I don't think a Clive Churchill means everything either. Yeah, I think it's just good for the resume, but it doesn't mean everything in the scheme of a win. Like Penrith, if Mitch Kenny didn't step up this year and play his part.
Yeah, Freddie, I'm probably going to have to drop in overall Penrith greats just because of that amount of time he wasn't there. But
where does Luai sit? How about Stephen Crichton? Does Stephen Crichton sit higher than Luai?
None of them are in the top 5 for me.
No.
Just because of...
But they've won 3 in a row.
You understand, but you've got to have... You can't fit them all into one side.
Yeah.
They've got to be, the 91 grand final, bringing the first one to the club. That's hectic, and that will, were the battlers back then, you know.
Yeah, right. All right, cheers for tuning in. We'll see you maybe one time more before the end of the year, hopefully. If not, maybe we'll just do the first.
Did you change shirt?
Yeah, I did.
When the fuck did that happen?
Oh, because I got to go out straight after this. So I'm like,
when did you do that?
when the battery was like cooling down. But also, Supercoach prices were released today. So I think I'm going to do a podcast with Jake online, like just and we'll do a team picker type scenario. But
he's good at this early time of the season.
He's very good at this sort of stuff. So we'll do
Crossing
that.
the T's, dotting the I's, carrying the 6.
Supercoach will start January for us. So we'll have to organise that and